Howdy again, friends. Dr. Big Ed, your guitar pedal shrink. So I want to do a little follow-up on the video I did about glitch, stutter, and etc., because one of the watchers, one of followers, subscribers, I don't play this video game, I don't know, but a really tuned in observer posted, hey, you forgot a few things. And yes, I did, but that's because I put the things that he mentioned in a different category. And I call that category textural. Instead of pitch, stutter, glitch, I call this textural. So I want to talk about some textural stuff. One of which I mentioned last time, which was the Cooper Effects Outward. The Cooper Effects Outward can do freeze, it can do time stretching, it can do LFO, it can do pitch. It's an amazing device, especially the V2 that has the wet control separate from the dry now, so you can get your volume perfectly. But either way, it's just an amazing device. I use it all the time. In fact, I've chosen to put it in my acoustic guitar rig because I found that some of the work I'm doing in some of these other experimental categories could work really well on acoustic guitar, but not with every pedal. The Cooper Outward V2 is amazing. I can do freeze, I can do some time stretching, I can get the blend in just right so it's not really interfering with my acoustic guitar picking or distracting or detracting from the narrative. So, big fan, Cooper Outward V2. I'm also a big fan of the Cooper Genloss. I have the Chase Bliss version of it, so it's smaller and compact, and I can fit it on a lot of boards. I have two main experimental boards, and it's on one of them. I did the collected abstractions piece on that board that the Genloss is on, and that was a big part of it because I use it for filtering. I use it for modulation. I can put ring mod in there, and it's amazing. I love having the dip switches. I'm into dip switch. I don't know. I can deal with that stuff. Some people can't, but I love it. Okay, so the Cooper Effects Genloss, amazing for textural work. It's kind of almost endless, really, what you can do with it. And a lot of times you'll find when you're recording stuff, you'll need to filter at some point, or else the level, the layers get out of control. So that's what I find it really, really good for. I also use the WMD, what is the Pro Filter? I can't remember the name of it, but they have a filter pedal that's really good. But I find the Cooper Genloss broader for my uses. So check that out. And last but not least, because it's one of my new faves, and I bought two of them because I'm insane, but you had to buy two of them to get all four of the cards because they're running short on the cards at the factory. And I didn't mind anyway because Tom from Cooper Effects is awesome. I mean, I've met him in person twice. He's just an awesome dude. And this may be his most brilliant moment. I know he worked a few years on this, but the Cooper Effects arcades. What I really love about the arcades, especially for textural work, but just overall, is you can program it. You don't need an app. You don't need, and I love apps, but you just get into that pedal and it's got major functions and secondary functions. You can also use the Alt switch as your expression mode by programming those switches that when you hit the Alt switch, they do something else. So talk about textural work. Holy Christmas. So you program it to what you want, your tone, your clock, etc., etc. It has a secondary functions of another row of controls, but then it's got a third, and I think even a fourth level, but at least a third level to program not only one of the level, either the third or fourth level. You can use an expression pedal, but you can also program all your expression changes to that alt switch. It's just unbelievable. So far there's the pitch, lo-fi, delay, and reverb. And I use all 4 of those cards in both of the arcades I bought. I'm telling you, if you're super particular about a sound or a texture, Cooper Arcades. I mean, you really can't get better than programming your own particular sound and secondary and expression functions. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So big Cooper Effects fans. One thing I missed last time, but I didn't really miss because I put this in the textural category, is, you know, I'm Norwegian. And I'm pretty bleeping big Norwegian. Pladask Elektrisk. Dude makes ridiculous pedals. I've had the Token delay. I've had the back vent. I now have the back fram, the Fabrikat. I might have had, I've got the knife. I think I have 1 or 2 others. Anyway, ridiculous for textural work. I mean, maybe the original premier pedal builder for textural work. So the back fram is a metamorphosis. It grew from the back vent, which was sort of a time stretching reverse delay. And the back fram does that, but it also goes forward. It goes up and down octave. It can do a lower octave. It can do upper octave. It can do them together. It can do no octave. It can do time stretching forward. It can do time stretching in reverse. It's unbelievable. The clock makes it like off the hook. I bought 2 of them and I sold the second one for the same price I bought it to my buddy Scott Amendola, who's a ridiculously awesome musician. He loves it. Backfram. Fabrikat. So the Backfram is like an easier to use, simpler Fabrikat, but the Fabrikat's way more. It's got 2 different wheels of patches, if that's the best way to put it. And on the front panel, it'll tell you what they do, the P1 and P2 effect. But you can get crazy textural stuff out of the Fabrikat. Crazy. And like the back fram, you can press the loop button, which regenerates it and kind of accentuates and expands the loop, hold, function, freeze of that, and then can make it explode even, so you gotta be careful. But the Fabrikat was the original mamma jamma of this, like that just is off the hook. Some people will think it's too confusing and too much, but it's really not. Like, if you wanna start somewhere with textural stuff, you can start with that one and then just learn the friggin' heck out of it and pay attention to, I mean, it's all there on the front panel, on the front of the pedal, what they do. So I'm not saying memorize all of them, but you'll find, say, 4 or 5 things that you love about it that no other pedal really does. They don't. And all of the Pladask pedals sound amazing. They record well. They're just tuned beautifully. So make sure I'm not missing. So the back fram, the Fabrikat would be my first calls. Back fram might not be available again for a little while, but Fabrikat has got everything the back fram has and 10 times more. So highly recommended. His delays, like the Romford, which is like a weird modulating, weird delay, loopy thing. Amazing. And the token delay both have inserts, effect inserts, so you can throw other stuff in there. I mean, talk about textural stuff. It's just pretty insane. And of course, his drum reverb, insane. Unbelievable. The drum is on the board that I did Collected Abstractions with too. So if you want to look that up on the web, it was always on that whole hour and 6 minute live improvisation combined with other reverbs as well. But the drum, because of the clock and texture, and amazing. I mean, so Nut, fantastisk. I didn't mean to forget my brother, David Rollo. We all know that David's my brother. You didn't know. You didn't know he was Norwegian, did you? He is. No, he's from Belgium. But I feel like he's my brother because everything David does is awesome. I've got his Twin Peaks tremolo. I've got the giant hogweed overdrive fuzz thing, which is just sick. Best octave up, octave down pedal ever. Seriously. I've had the molecular disruptor, the molecular compactor, the Stamen. Whatever David puts out, I'll buy, basically. But the molecular disruptor, much like the Fabricat, but different, but very different, is a textural machine because, again, you have, I think it goes 0 to 7, so there's 8 patches that you can dial in. There's secondary functions on a second switch. And you have sample rate, clock, and each function. Now, I know it's tricky because you have to sort of memorize what they do, but he's got a cheat sheet of what these effects do. And I think somebody else put it up on the web because I downloaded it. So look, and it's a list of what every patch he makes does with the P1, P0, etc. feedback knobs. The molecular disruptor is insane. And you can buy different chips that do different things that you can patch. So say you get tired of the original 8 you bought, you can get another chip with 8 other ones in there. And don't be afraid, it's dead simple. I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. That's how dead simple this is because I'm no engineer. Molecular disruptor, you'll have hours of endless fun texturally with that pedal. It's just insane. So, didn't mean to forget you, David. You know I love you. Molecular disruptor. Another one that I love from another company I love is Red Panda Particle 2. That Particle 2, especially with the new firmware that has trails, you can program it. You can program it all on the pedal, although they do have a web-based editor, which amazing. I was just using it last week with the Context 2. But the Particle 2 can get you, in a very hi-fi way, tons of textural fun. And you can do regular delays, too. I have got a delay that's practically a tremolo on there. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do with that pedal. But using the granular mode and the pitch and the LFO, the Red Panda Particle 2, and it's got freeze, so the secondary switch can do freeze. So awesome that you can just be in the middle of something, hit that, play over it. I'm a big fan of Red Panda, and the Particle 2 was such a step up from Particle 1, which I already loved and owned. So the Red Panda Particle 2, look into it, watch some videos. It's insane. It will just, like, you add it at the end of your textural chain, and it'll just take it up the next level, in my opinion. Here's the sleeper I talk about all the time. The Zoom MS50G and MS70 CDR. You can program those damn things to do anything. And with the trigger hold and slicer in particular, if you use them separately or together and then put a delay after them or a reverb. You can EQ it. There's tons of stutter, delay, glitchy effects, textural effects. I mean, it's a textural bonanza in both of those pedals. If you got two of them, you could get two for under $200. Boom. That could almost be a pedal board. Now, for me, I need more stuff in front of it and behind it, especially because I'm picky about reverbs and stuff. But I use the reverb in the MS-70 CDR. But I always have an MS-50G and an MS-70 CDR on my board. They're always on, and I turn on parts of them from time to time to get that textural stuff. There's a ton of videos on the web that I've watched that other people have done that are just brilliant. I've stolen some of their ideas and tweaked them to my own thing, and I've created a ton of my own patches. I just find them indispensable. They sound great, they're cheap. They do have a high milliamp, they're 500 milliamps, so you have to have a power supply that deals with it. I use Chox, or people say Ciox, but I think it's Chox power supplies, so I don't have that problem, but most good power supplies should have 500 milliamps. And and I watched a video of a guy who did a loop junkie, the lo-fi junkie, not the loop junkie, the lo-fi junkie. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I tried, and I recreated it, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, but I got to tweak this a little bit. So you tweak it, you save it, boom, you've got your own lo-fi junkie. So I've got tons of these patches. I've got octave up and down. I've got fifth down and an octave down blended together, and a lo-fi junkie, and the trigger hold, and the slicer, and all these things. There's tons of them. There's tons of videos out there. Just go check it out, because it's a really good budget way to add to your pedal board. I don't think you can center your pedal board around those two pedals, but those two pedals can add to your textural, ambient, stutter, glitch pedal board in a big way, in a very affordable way. And last but not least, I just want to mention this, that ring mod. Ring mod, done the right way and done tastefully, and by the way, the Arcades has a ring mod, amazing. I've done a program for that. The Generation Loss has a ring mod. Ring mod combined with filter is off the charts for textural work. But if you have, say, if you have that big ass Moog ring modulator, and you put a random generator, like that cheap random generator pedal that Electro Harmonix sells, into, I think it's the CV, or I'd have to look because I have it in the closet, but there's a video on the web where a guy shows you that you put the random generator in that, and it will create a sequence with the ring mod. Amazing. I use a ring mod in the loop of the token, the Pladask Electris token. I also use it in the loop of my DoD rubberneck delay. Texturally, ring mod can be very useful texturally. So there are really good ones. There's the Gonculator, is pretty cheap out there. Not the old one, the new one is a great ring modulator, and it's pretty cheap. That's the one I throw in the loop of those two. I use the Moog separately on its own thing. And it's big, so I usually use it with synths and drones and stuff. But the Gonculator is awesome. It can also be dirt, the dirt in the Gonculator, the distortion's pretty cool. Or using it with filters. So to get back to that, and this will be my last point, and I'll leave you with this so I don't bore you to death, but try a filter or a wah pedal before a ring modulator. There'll be on a wah pedal, there'll be a certain point in the treadle where it's going to create this amazing harmonic overtone with a ring modulator. It's crazy. and with a filter pedal and a ring modulator kind of fighting each other, balancing off. Texturally, it'll really stick out in the mix, and it'll be very, very interesting. For me, anyway. So I hope you can try it and see if you like it. All right? So until next time,